All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to get going here. All right, last night's session on the S&P kind of a bit of a change in the pattern. We saw a very initial start was a push higher, and we really drifted down throughout the session. I mean, the last hour was okay, but for the most part, we really slid for the entire day. Kind of a little bit of a change from what we have been seeing from in the intraday action on the index. We did get some support out of the Case-Shiller home price index and consumer confidence. And the dollar has just been perpetually strengthening. We saw a lot of strength there yesterday. It gained against all 16 of its major currency pairs. So, I think that theme will probably continue going forward. Asian stocks were kind of a bit mixed. With the Nikkei, that's kind of seemed to have lost steam after the past few weeks, the last few sessions. We started to see a little bit of increased volatility there, and it feels a little bit uncertain as which way it's really going to make its next move. Interesting out of Australia, Australia, you can see there to the right, not an unbelievable day. I mean, we're up 0.34%, I believe, but the resource stocks traded really well, and I think a lot of that's on the back of Goldman Sachs came out and upgraded the sector, saying that it's expecting the weakness and some of the underlyings to kind of be coming to an end. So I think that's really important for our session. They've been the dogs on the index. I'll show a couple of the charts in a little bit, but I think it's really important to see where these things are going to go on the day. All right, we also had a Lovo, which was cut to sell versus neutral at UBS. Very little on the corporate action front, obviously, for the day. Market data out today, we've got retail sales out of Spain, we've got German unemployment change, we've got Italian business confidence, we've got European M3 money supply, we've got the OECD that's releasing its May economic outlook, and then we've got mortgage apps in the States later, followed by CPI out of Germany. So nothing too major today, nothing too important to really have to pay attention to on the data front today. So let's jump into the maps. All right, first thing I'm going to have a look at is the US dollar ZAR. Why does that chart not look right? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're all obviously watching this onslaught that continues to happen in the rand. I mean, this morning I saw we bottomed out to bottomed out around 985. A little while ago. It just continues, the slide continues to get worse and worse. Just kind of trying to get a projection on where this thing's going to go. And the interim, I think if you really look here and you see the distance between the channel, which is quite consistent, the lines are very parallel there. We're really looking at about 55 to 60 cents on that channel. Where the breakout happening up here around 955. I think that obviously puts a target there at around, call it 1010 to 1020, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think 10 almost seems like a foregone conclusion at this point. I mean, the rand's bailing on the back of global equity market strength around the world. There's obviously some big structural issues happening here at the moment, and people are not seeing a whole lot of value in the rand even at these levels. So just be careful here, going forward. We see, yesterday, one of the themes I think that we saw yesterday was, and we've seen for the last few sessions, is the stocks that are going to benefit from the weak rand really have been just outperforming. You see Richemont, SA Breweries, your shares like Sasol, Naspers, they all just really the lead star performers in the market. So important to keep an eye on that going forward. Let's just look at Xara real quick here. A lot of the charts I'm going to show on the day are looking quite bullish. So we're going to continue to kind of follow that. This thing's looking a bit like an inverse head and shoulder here. We really have got sort of a breakout that's looking imminent, if not already kind of starting to happen from yesterday's action on the head and shoulder pattern. This is would give us a target to around significantly higher, close to the 160 level. So if we can hold through this morning, and I would say breaking 150 would be probably significant and really kind of give us the ability to kind of make that target. That might be an interesting area to enter. All right, let's look at SA Breweries. Breweries, obviously, this thing. I mean, what I'd like for you guys to have a look at here is just this same pattern that's shaping up. We get this little continuation pattern, this pullback, and then we kind of rip back up. You had that exact same pattern happen here. You had the exact same pattern happen right here. You had the exact same pattern here. Every single time, it's an absolute. It's been kind of a free hit in this share, and every time it takes out its highs, we have literally as it takes out its highs, we have 2 or 3 days of rally. You can look at every single one of these things. They take out the recent highs, big spike up, take out the recent highs, big spike up. I expect to see the same thing again. Obviously, you kind of feel good about it as well, being on the back of the rand, because it benefits obviously from rand weakness. So just watch this thing. If we break above this 520 here in a closing level, closing basis, we'd be looking for about $24 upside. If you didn't catch this 496 level. All right. Let's look at RMI. A lot of these same continuation patterns happening in the market here. RMI. If we just zoom in here a little bit, you can see there. I can move this up a touch, but we really are. We closed right at previous highs. In fact, I'll say we closed through it by an inch, about 3 cents. So just keep that one in mind today. Same sort of thing, peak to trough. We're looking for another rand out of this thing probably in RMI. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of these that look almost identical to each other. Old Mutual just broke out. I'd throw Old Mutual with a target of a same sort of thing, about another rand of upside here in Old Mutual. Mr. Price, same continuation pattern. I'll just back out a little bit so you guys can get an idea of what we're looking at. But Mr. Price making a little bit more of a flag pattern probably, but looks very much similar. This is it's a really, really beautiful pattern here. I think from call it 126 to 136, about $10 there of upside past the breakout, which happened at 132. So we look for about 142. I think is our target on Mr. Price. All right, let's look at MMI. MMI, another one, same sort of pattern, flagging. Looks like it's broken up out of its flag pattern here. I think we've got significant upside here as well on MMI. Obviously been trading really well over the last little bit. And then the last one I'm going to show is actually Anglos in London. It looks totally different from the local chart because of the rand. Obviously, with what happened with Goldman overnight, I don't expect this thing to break down today through this level. But I mean, yesterday we did get a close, a new closing low, kind of coming through this. Out of this little bear flag pattern that really is happening here. So I think watch this one closely today. If this one doesn't partake in the rally today, then I think it has significantly more downside to it. Obviously, it's every day with rand weakness, it's kind of been a tough short. Like I said, we're taking out new lows here in London, but we're still $10-12 off of lows, maybe even $15 off of lows here locally. So keep an eye on that today. Be really careful, guys, of stocks with a lot of exposure to rand and rand moves. The market's obviously starting to shift money around in order to take advantage or not get caught up in that risk. So be careful of those today. That's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.